Action.
Hello,
Welcome to
everyone. Good evening. Tonight we are talking about rider position. That is going to be the focus of this
because we've got some
evening's.
questions on that, do we not?
Yes, we definitely have some questions on it. Let me check and make sure. Let me check and make sure. Okay, we've got the microphone, so that's good. Okay, so last week you were gone. You weren't here.
I know.
I had to do Facebook Live
I-
alone. I
I-
missed you very much.
I abandoned you yet again for the fishing.
What were you doing?
Getting beat up on a boat. Getting beat up like never been beat up on a boat before.
Why were you getting beat up?
We had the hope of tracking down tuna, but that dream went away and there was just a bashing.
Apparently a Navy SEAL was driving the boat and just like drove really fast through the waves.
Yeah, it was hard.
And you fell down.
And my legs went numb and my back hurt. And that was just the beginning. And there was 11 hours of it.
Anyways, so you would have rather been here with us.
I think so. I had all the fun I could stand.
Let's see what's exciting. Oh, so this week, Rider Position Blueprint is open for enrollment. You can get 50% off when you sign up. And we had an awesome independent seat webinar on Sunday. And Rider Position Blueprint is a course that I created earlier this year that really focuses on like everything in your rider position, like from your head to your toe, what all of your body needs to be doing.
Because all of your body needs to be doing something.
That's the hard part. And then what's cool about the course is that there's also an unmounted section that's all the fitness exercises. And I'll tell you that when because I had back surgery and I like did nothing for 6 weeks. I like laid on my back and did nothing. And when I started riding again, I couldn't believe how weak I felt and how weird it was to like get on the first time. I remember I felt very wobbly.
Awkward.
Yeah.
It's just, and not secure. I think that's the biggie because those of us who have been wrecked and then you go back and ride, there's just, that awkwardness, but that you're ill at ease.
Yeah. But you don't really realize how strong you are or how strong you need to be to ride well until you aren't. That was my big revelation was I was like, wow, like I can't believe how strong I was to be able to support and manage all the movement that your horse gives you. And
plus be soft, apply aids whilst the horse is moving you about.
Right. And when you're not strong, you're scared. Like you don't feel confident. I mean, thank goodness I had Mercurio. Mercurio is the gray PRE that I ride in a lot of the videos because he is like such a caretaker. He's like, oh, okay, you're out of balance. I'll walk. And he's also really smooth. And so he was the first one that I started riding after my surgery.
You rode him for 2 weeks, right? Before you got on Kensington?
Yeah.
And then you had to wait even longer for Mick because he's farther from the ideal than the other two horses.
Yeah. So I do think that fitness is such an important part of your riding, especially if you're not riding that much, especially if you only have one horse to ride. Or let me know in the chat how many horses per day or per week you ride, because I think we all agree that we'd like to ride more than we get to. You have a good quote about that.
Oh, you can't ride your one horse. I mean, you'd learn faster if you rode your horse 10 times, but you can't ride your one horse 10 times.
I think we all would like to ride our horse like over and over and over again every day, because then you could practice more. You could get better.
Yeah, but the nice thing about riding other horses, though, because with my own horse, you get codependent. You get used to them. They get used to you. You don't. So when you get on another horse, they'll show you, they'll give you another feeling. They'll teach you something different, which then you can put on your horse.
Yeah.
That happened with a couple of ladies, one whose horses now need to be tried. And so they're sharing the horse, and it's been motivating. I didn't think it was going to work, but they're both learning.
That's good.
I didn't think it was going to be able to fly, but they're both learning.
But what was really interesting is that when I started, so after I got cleared to go back to physical therapy, a lot of the exercises that my physical therapist gave me are exercises that are in Rider Position Blueprint, because he really went after like strengthening my core and my glutes, because those are the main muscles that support your back. And they're also the main muscles that you really need for riding, is that core stability and strength. And then also your glutes, because your glutes are what keep you stable from side to side. And they're also what connect and like allow you to put your leg correctly on the horse. So I was pretty impressed that when I started doing physical therapy, I was like, oh, so many of these exercises are in the course. And I think that's what's cool about the course, is they're very safe. Like I designed them as safe exercises. So it's not like, go jump around and do 20 burpees, because I think
That's not going to happen.
we're going to break ourselves if we try to work out like that. So
I don't recover anymore like that.
Yeah.
I used to train that way, but I was 20.
yes. So if you haven't yet, check out Rider Position Blueprint if you want some help with your fitness.
But Kate rides a fair amount of horses.
Yeah, good for you, Kate. 8 or 9 a week. That's great. That's great. Okay, so I got to ride in a clinic this week, which I was super excited about, because it's been like a while with my surgery and everything that I've, you have to kind of be game and like ready to go for it if you're going into a clinic.
Because they're going to make some demands. That's their job, is to challenge you and push you and get you where you haven't been and what's not right, and
Yes.
solve
So
that.
there's a clinician, a German named Albrecht. What's his last name?
Heidemann.
And he was teaching at our barn. And so I got to ride Mick. Unfortunately, her mom didn't get to ride his horse.
My horse is not rideable again.
Yes. She keeps getting these like E. coli infections, and like her skin is like
Sloughing off.
sloughing off. Like
Yeah.
it's not good. So he didn't get to ride. So I took his spot and I rode Mick. And I took some notes of the rider position tips that he gave me, and that I heard him teaching some other people too. Do you think of any that you heard him say?
No.
You can't think. Okay. Well, think of some as I tell mine.
Well, because I know that he's talked about, sliding from one foot to the other foot so I can sit to the inside.
Yeah.
Not stand up and move over, but slide over to my inside foot.
And that was one thing he told me a lot today, was sit inside, especially for the haunches in and the half passes, because sitting to the inside is super important for your horse's center of balance, that you want to sit over their center of balance. And so he kept saying like, sit inside heel down, just kind of like that visual imagery to help me keep sitting to the inside. Then he had another good one. He was teaching a student yesterday, and he told her, he said, move your fingers in your gloves, but don't let your gloves move.
Oh, that's good.
That's really good. Right? Because like you want to vibrate a little your ring fingers, but you don't want to actually like move your gloves around.
Yeah.
We might have to steal that one.
Well, everything I've gotten, I stole from somebody.
That's a really good one. Then he was also saying, so what was interesting about Albrecht is that, how we all learn through different ways. Like there's like visual learning, there's tactile learning, there's auditory learning. And I feel like Albrecht does a good job of more tactile learning, as opposed, because what he did is he was like, okay, come here. And so he came out in the arena with me, and he was like, put your hand.
And he moved his body different with your hand on him, so you could feel how your body was supposed to go.
Because he was trying to explain how in the trot, he wanted Mick to have more of like a bounce to him, and how I needed to create that from my legs. But then he was also, it was about keeping my shoulders soft. That's what he was saying though. He was saying that like with your leg, you want to kind of like bounce him to get more energy, but then your shoulders have to be soft and allowing, and not like holding.
Right, because then you push it down.
Right. But it was, I was like, oh, that's a cool way of learning, because I could feel his shoulders and the difference in his shoulders. And so that it wasn't just him trying to explain with words, it was me actually feeling.
Yeah, it's a way better. Words, it's hard that way.
Yeah.
Without
then
the image, without a feeling, it's difficult.
he also did this thing. What he was like, okay, bounce me. And he wanted me to like bounce his hand like this. And he was saying that that's kind of what you want your seat to do is you want to let your horse a little bit bounce you so that they feel like they can swing more up. If you're like sitting like into them too much, then they're not going to be able to swing more up. So it was an interesting way of learning. And I thought that's something that I probably need to incorporate more when I'm teaching is that tactile, because I think that sometimes it is like now I have that feeling of softness through like what his shoulders felt like. And then I can kind of think about that more for me. I don't know, just interesting.
I do it.
But that's what's cool about clinics is you always take away and you learn something. The other thing that he yelled at me a lot about with Mick was heels down, don't nag him. We're all guilty of that, aren't we?
It's an easy thing to do. And
Yeah.
Larry, right? That's Larry's like, you give an 8 of 0.5. And if that doesn't work, then it's an 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's 0.5 and then it's an 8.
And then you leave them alone. I think that's the hard part is you have to just let it be. But when you ask for something, you know, expect it to happen and then let it be again. So that was interesting. Alrighty. So we have some questions. That the clinician's name was Albert Heidemann. And you rode with him for years.
A dozen.
Yeah.
And I still ride with him now. But then the clinic changed and he was gone for a while and he did Florida. Now he's Florida based and now he comes here more often again.
Yeah. But it's really important, I feel, that we like are continuing learning and taking clinics and developing horses because that makes us better teachers for you. If we're not out there trying and remembering how freaking hard this is, then it's, you know.
If you're not learning, you're dying.
Right. And I took Kensington. I rode with Sabine Shoot Carey this week, which was very cool because she's at a barn nearby. And it's great. It's always inspiring and exciting and frustrating to have lessons.
But the inspiration is really key because, you know, otherwise you just go around on your circle. But, you know, they come and they give you a fresh eye. They invigorate you. You know, they get you on a path. They set you on a course.
Yeah. So anyways, we're going to dive into, we have a bunch of questions from our Stride students about rider position. And if you have any tips or visuals that help you with your rider position, we'd love to hear them in the chat. So this is a good question.
Stacy's got hot lava.
Yes. Do you want to explain hot lava? That was your terminology.
That's
for the walk.
Yeah, for the sand. When the sand's like that burning. Well, for those of you who have been to the beach and the sand is very hot and you've got to jump from one foot to the other foot to keep your feet from burning, that's what the hot lava is. So you've had to have walked on burning hot sand at the beach to know that feeling.
And that's a good image if you have a horse that gets kind of slow with their footfalls, especially at the walk, I think. Okay, so Kristen says, how much motion do you feel in the ankle? Should they feel relaxed and heavy or loose and springy? Also, okay, we'll just start with that.
So just go again.
How much motion do you feel in the ankle? Should they feel relaxed and heavy or loose and springy?
Relaxed, loose, and springy. Not
That's
heavy.
helpful.
Because they are relaxed. There's it depends really on the gait. You know, if your horse doesn't have gaits, then there's not going to be a lot of motion. But, you know, they've got to move. You don't want to force them to move. They shouldn't feel heavy. They shouldn't be constrained.
Yeah. They're shock absorbers. So they help to, you know, like the balance of your horse's back is kind of sinking into your feet. How do you get your shoulders back and down without tensing across the shoulders or arching in the back? We did a whole thing about shoulders.
Yeah, my fallback exercise for that is just take your shoulders up to your ears, crunch them really tight, and then just drop them.
When I was doing Pilates, she talked a lot about widening your collarbones. And I thought that was a helpful image because you're right. If you just like pinch pinch your shoulder blades, then that stiffens you. So maybe widening, or the other thing we like is the glove trick where you put your gloves under your armpits and that helps you to keep your shoulders open. So those might help you. Okay. Lisa says, I just had to shorten one stirrup. I have one leg shorter. According to PT, I was always off balance. Now I feel much more centered. I'm 71 with back problems. Maybe this is common. It can be. I think it's what Stephanie, our physical therapist, said is that it's important that you get actually like diagnosed as having different length of legs. Because a lot of times it's more that either one stirrup has stretched or your saddle's not sitting crooked. So it can be common, but it is good if you actually get your legs measured. Like there's a way that they measure leg length and make sure that your legs are actually different lengths and that it's not your pelvis being off center when you're riding.
That you're not pulling yourself into crooked.
Yeah, because usually we want to see even weight on your seat bones, even length of the stirrup. So if you have like a measured discrepancy in your leg and that's been like diagnosed, then yeah, you want to have different length stirrups so that your pelvis is even. Like your pelvis, everything starts.
Right, needs to be square to the saddle.
Yeah. And that's something I teach in Rider Position Blueprint is the Rider Position Framework, which is alignment, seat, leg, hand. That's how you want to think about your rider position.
Tall and proud is good. Carrie has tall and proud.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Opening your chest. It's good, I think, with rider position to have different visuals or images that help you. I like to think of pulling a string up from your sternum, like from your bra. If someone's lifting you up, I feel like that helps me to look up and open my chest. Flory's asking, what are some tips for correcting arching the back and letting your backside stick out?
I'm going to go with Hannah's hula hips. Make sure your hips are flexible.
That's a good one.
You got to make sure your hips are flexible and you're not forcing that arch, right? If you stay flexible and your hips move and your spine will move.
And also think about your seat bones should be pointing down into the saddle, because if you arch your back, then your seat bones are going to point backwards. So you really want to think about.
Oh, and I read a book once and it said that your seating bones are like the bottom of a rocking chair.
Oh, that's a good.
So you've got your seating bone has to do this
in the
saddle. So your seating bone is the rocking chair in the saddle. So it rolls front and back.
Oh, we have Mary Wanless is doing a talk on.
Oh, really?
On Sunday for Stride students at 8 a.m. Pacific time.
On Sunday?
On Sunday.
This Sunday?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Should be good.
Well, you were going to record it, right?
Yeah. And I think the focus is going to be on posting trot and canter mechanics. That's what I asked her to focus on anyways.
That's
so
awesome.
I think that would be interesting. Mary Wanless, she specializes in rider biomechanics. And like I said, I think it's so cool that we're a learning community and that we're all always learning. And, sometimes I feel like there's not necessarily a right and a wrong way. Like there are certain systems that we follow, yes, but certainly everyone has a different perspective and way of saying things, and that can be really helpful. All right. Let's see. Nancy, how can you determine the correct length for your stirrups and what happens when they're too long?
What happens when they're too long is your legs too straight and then you're reaching for them and then you're all locked up.
Or you're losing them or you're riding in a chair seat.
Right. So you're trying to find your stirrups and your leg gets too straight and that's going to take you out of position. And rule of thumb, it's between the ankle and your heel. Because people are different from the knee to the hip and they're different from the knee to the ankle. Everybody could be 5'10", but their legs are, more back, more leg, whatever. So somewhere between your ankle and your heel.
And I'd say as a general rule, especially if you're on like a small horse or a green horse,
right.
Then
you got
to
make adjustments for the horse too.
Yeah. In general, a little shorter is better to start with over like being too long with the stirrups. All right. How can one correct or work on bringing their leg back in the saddle? I struggle with a chair seat legs, even when the upper body is okay. That's a common thing is the chair seat. So make sure your stirrups aren't too long. Um,
And then partly to answer the last question and this one too, ride a little bit without your stirrups because it'll make your leg longer. Generally, we draw them up and try and help ourselves stay on that way. So if you spend a few minutes in the beginning without the stirrups, letting your leg just hang and stretch, and then put the stirrups on and figure out the length you need.
Yeah. And you do have to think about bending your knees and engaging your hamstring because that's what actually keeps your lower leg back underneath of you.
Oh, but then but you want to make sure you're not sitting on your hamstring. You want to be on the inside of your thighs. You don't want to sit on your hamstrings because that'll get you messed up too. Take you out of position.
And I do think that there are some saddles that put you more in a chair seat. So that's another thing to look at is if you look at your saddle and if the deepest part of your saddle is way back here and your stirrup bars are way up here, that's going to kind of put you in a chair seat. So you want the deepest part of your saddle to basically be a foot length behind where your stirrup hangs. So that like your saddle should help you have your shoulder, hip, heel alignment. And there's definitely some saddles that are built like way like this that just put you more in a chair seat.
That is true.
So you can't always blame your saddle though, because remember that Ingrid Klimke rides in a saddle with no thigh blocks. So you can't just blame your saddle, but it definitely can be a contributing factor. And I do think that having a correctly fitted saddle is important because like for our amateur riders, it just makes such a big difference when they have a saddle that helps them to find the correct position.
Right, because if you don't know where the correct position is, if something helps put you there, then you're there.
Right, because we're not all Ingrid Klimke, right? Okay, so
there was a question that said, where did we do that posture? That's the one that we did together on the saddle in here?
It was for a rider position blueprint.
Was that on YouTube?
It was in the course, rider position blueprint. So yeah, we did a whole demo all about shoulders and relaxing your shoulders because Herman kind of got me on a shoulder thing.
With Kate.
Yeah. So one of our students that's what's also great is having like different perspectives because I've been working with her a lot and we were working on her position and her seat. And then Herman's like, well, it's not her seat that's the problem. It's her shoulders are tight. And so I was like, well, that makes total sense. And so then we did this whole like demo about shoulders. So if you're in rider position blueprint, make sure to check that out. If you're not, you can sign up. We'd love to have you. Okay. So Carrie says, I'm struggling with finding neutral spine. I bring my core and shoulders back and down and do my best to relax my pelvis. Make sure I'm not arching my back, but I still find that my lower back, especially my right side, is often sore and stiff, especially after no stirrups and sitting trot. Any suggestions to ease this lower right-sided pain? I don't know, Carrie. I feel it would be great to see a video of you. I know you're in Stride, so you could send us a video or post it in the Facebook group. But I kind of feel like maybe you're weak on your right side. Wouldn't you agree?
It's a muscle thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'd say that you would, first of all, you want to stretch that a bit. But it just sounds like you've been compensating. And now that you're getting yourself squared away, the weaker side's getting tired.
Yeah.
It's what it sounds like, but I'm not a physical therapist. I don't know, but that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So I definitely recommend, anytime that you feel that in the saddle, if you have any kind of asymmetry in the saddle, you always want to get off and try to figure out exercises that you can do to strengthen that side off of your horse so that when you get on, you're like ready to go and you can help your horse out more.
But that doesn't mean don't ride until that happens.
Right.
Ride anyway.
Yeah. But, since we only spend an hour on our horses and we spend 23 hours of the day doing all this other stuff, the more aware you are of like, are you sitting crooked? Are you sleeping crooked? Are you, how ambidextrous are you? If you're shoveling manure, like if you're always doing it with the same hand, even grooming your horse, like all these asymmetries in our body transfer over to under saddle. And then we want our horses to be straight, but we're super crooked.
Right. So you've got to get that bit solved before you're going to get your horse doing half passes.
Yes. So
But
more
Hannah's doing her
exercises.
side planks right now, which reminded me I've got to go eat my jelly donuts.
That was funny. Good job, Hannah. You're inspiring him to eat jelly donuts. Oh my gosh. Okay, one last question from Sarah. She says, okay, I'm confused. I'm sitting in the saddle or braced on my thighs in a semi-sitting position, standing position, getting conflicting information from arena bystanders. So I prefer to listen to Amelia in the quiet alone time. Am I sitting in the saddle or braced on my thighs? Am I in a semi-sitting position or a standing position? I think what she's asking is where is the weight when you're in the saddle? Like, are you sitting? Are you standing? Are you bracing? It's an interesting question.
Because I was hearing it, I was trying to. And so when I'm on a younger horse, I'm almost a little standy because I'm doing like a light forward seat where I'm posting a little bit. Most of my weight's down in my feet. I'm doing my light forward seat as they train up. I think I sit deeper. When I make my half halt, obviously I brace there because I resist it. But then I'm soft and following.
But I think in general, so going back to my rider position scale, first thing is alignment. So ear, shoulder, hip, heel, because that's what my first riding instructor would always say. Like, if your horse disappears, you should land on your feet, right? With your knees bent.
Yeah.
So that's like the first thing. And that's what I teach in rider position blueprint: alignment, ear, shoulder, hip, heel. Then you don't want to be braced. Like, the word braced should not.
Right. Every flexibility is the way of life.
Yes.
Rigidity is the way of death.
So you should never be bracing in the saddle. Like, that's not.
There's a moment when you like make a half halt when you resist it.
Yeah.
But you're not holding that and being against them. You just rebalance and then soften again.
And you don't want to. So she says, should I be braced in my thighs in my semi-sitting position? No, you should not be braced in your thighs.
No, because you need to absorb the energy into you and cycle that.
Right. So I feel like you have ear, shoulder, hip, heel alignment. Then what I always say is the weight of your torso goes into your seat bones, and then your legs drape around your horse. So there is some weight in your inner thighs. Like, the weight of your thigh basically is pushing into the saddle. So that's like you have contact with your legs.
Well, like when you carry a puppy or you carry a cat or something, or a baby. I mean, you cuddle it, you hold it.
But it's not like this.
You don't squeeze the life force out of it, and you're not fly, be free. You hold it. You hug it.
I think that's what Sally Swift says, that your leg should be like a wet washcloth, just like draping around your horse. And then the weight of your legs does go into your stirrups. So I guess you could think about riding as like you're sitting and standing at the same time, kind of, right? Because you have some weight in your feet and you have some weight in your seat. But it's not.
But it's not braced because the horse is moving, and so you've got to move with it. You've got to go through space. You and the horse are together, moving through space.
Yeah, but hopefully that was helpful, Sarah. I don't know. It was kind of it was an interesting question. We definitely had to kind of process it and think a bit about it. So. Anyways, alrighty, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed our rider position talk.
And go snuggle it when you get on your horse later.
Yes, definitely check out Rider Position Blueprint if you haven't yet, because it's on sale for half off through Sunday. And we'll keep you posted. I think it's really fun, the learning community that we have as we are learning things and continuing to improve. And ride better and understanding how hard it is, and the highs are high and the lows are
The
low.
lows are low.
So
All right,
Alrighty.
guys, we'll see you in a week.